Let's go ringside.
Round one.
Here we go for round number one of this Australian super middleweight title fight between John the Beast Mugabi and Jamie Wildman Wallace. Wallace, of course, in the blue trunks, Mugabi in the white trunks. Mugabi is a former WBC super welterweight champion of the world. He also gave Marvin Hagler, the great middleweight, one of his toughest ever title fights. In fact, Hagler's last successful defence of his undisputed middleweight title. If nothing else, Jamie Wallace is very, very tough. He has a chin of granite. And I'll tell you what, he's going to need that against Mugabi, who comes into this fight with 40 wins. 39 of those wins have come by way of knockout. So to say he packs a punch would be a huge understatement. One of the best knockout records in all of boxing history. Wallace snapping out the jab. Mugabi, as we saw him earlier in the year against Ambrose Melillo, he sort of sleepwalked through the first couple of rounds and then just exploded, which he's capable of doing. And that's what makes a world-class fighter, that ability to just bring up that big punch whenever he needs it. Wallace, we've seen different sides to Jamie Wallace. He does have very good boxing skills. Sometimes he uses them, sometimes he doesn't. He does take a lot of punishment. He takes a lot of punches. He's had 13 wins from 27 fights. Has only ever been knocked out once. It's a tribute to his power. It's a tribute to his courage that he's able to do that. Nice jab there by Wallace. He obviously has a fairly distinct reach advantage over Mugabi. Mugabi with a sneaky uppercut on the inside there, trying to force its way through the defensive style of Wallace. Looking for that counter right there, and Mugabi there countering well with the right hand. But Wallace not even really flinching, and I think you'll see that and you'll be amazed by the punishment that Jamie Wallace can take. Fairly subdued first round so far. I think that will probably be characteristic of the first couple of rounds, just while both men work out each other's style. And there's the bell ending round number one. This is round number two of this title fight for the Australian super middleweight title, the vacant title, and we've got John Mugabi up against Jamie Wallace. And just while we have a moment, I'd like to thank sponsors once again, Waters and Gamble and Associates. They're an investment bankers, and especially Michael Toohey and Baxter Gamble, Melba's nightclub, the Watermark Hotel on the Gold Coast, and Town and Country real estate agents. And the principal there is Matt Robinson. Thank you once again to all of those sponsors for getting behind boxing on the Gold Coast. And Mugabi here. Everybody's sort of waiting with a certain sort of anticipation to see if he'll unleash that devastating power that he's renowned for. Mugabi, a silver medalist at the 1980 Moscow Olympics. So he's had a very prestigious career, John Mugabi. The highlight for him would have been winning that world title. And I would say also, while it was a loss, that fight with Marvin Hagler was a fantastic fight. Round number 6 in that fight was voted by the Ring magazine as the round of the year for 1986. Wallace pushing out with the jab, snapping out with it on that occasion, but falling well short of its target. Mugabi constantly looking to counter with that right, and Wallace won't want to get lazy with his left. You'll want to bring it straight back along the same line that he throws it out, otherwise Mugabi will counter him, as he does there with that right hand. Mugabi a little bit wild there with the left hook, almost throwing himself off balance with it. And while his best years are behind him, the last thing a fighter loses is his punch. And John Mugabi has one hell of a punch. Pouring there with a couple of punches, then loading up on the left hook, and that caught Wallace's attention. You're watching the second round of this Australian super middleweight title fight. Mugabi in the white, Wallace in the blue. Straight left there by Mugabi, snaps back the head of his opponent. Another beautiful straight left. And once again, a bell ending round number 3. I'm sorry, that's round number 2. Another round to Mugabi. I've got him 2 rounds up at this stage.
Round 3.
Mugabi starts the third round with a straight right that found the mark and sent Wallace backwards, and he's going to have to do a little bit more than cover up, I think, Jamie Wallace. He's going to need to try and hold on to negate the power of Mugabi. But as we've seen in the past, Jamie Wallace is an incredibly courageous man. Anyone that gets into the ring has tremendous courage, but Jamie Wallace is a symbol of courage inside the ropes. He can take enormous punishment and still come back. But he would be well advised to use that reach advantage that he has. This is by far the hardest puncher that he would ever have been in the ring with. Also the best credentialed fighter he would ever have fought. Oh, and a low blow there by Mugabi, not picked up by the ref. Mugabi constantly looking for that one big shot, and he does have quite good boxing skills too, Mugabi, when he wants to use them. Good left hook, and I think looks like Wallace might be cut along the left eyelid. Either that or his face has suddenly gone very red from those left hooks finding their mark. There's a nice straight left by Mugabi that snaps back the head of his opponent. And Wallace fighting back well here. Mugabi constantly loading up with that left. He was looking to counter with the right in the first 2 rounds, but here in the third he's looked more to that left hook. And Wallace's corner telling him to continue to box. Needs to use his jab more. Nothing Mugabi would like more than to get into a slugfest. Neither fighter having great hand speed, and a sneaky lead right there by Mugabi finds its mark. Referee just parting the boxes. Having a look at Wallace, having a good look at Wallace. I'm not exactly sure why. And there's the bell ending the third round of this title clash for the Australian super middleweight crown. Well, as we head into the 4th round of this Australian super middleweight title fight, I have John Mugabi with a clean sweep of the first 3 rounds, taking each of them 10-9. Jamie Wallace needs to try and box a little bit more. Mugabi's power throughout the first 3 rounds has been the difference. He seems to have been able to stun Wallace on various occasions. Wallace looking to lead there with the right hand. But Mugabi equal to the task. Wallace trying to take the lead there with the jab. Oh, and a nice counter right there again. Once again, Mugabi with that big right hand. And Wallace looking a little bit more timid. He knows that if he doesn't bring that left straight back, that he's going to pay the price. And the price is he's going to have to try and swallow. And look at this, he's stunned Mugabi, and Mugabi is down. Well, just for one moment, John Mugabi seemed to take his eyes off Wallace, and Wallace was able to land a right hand, and he's on unsteady legs. John Mugabi down in the 4th round, and he's going to have to try and hold on. In a shock, Jamie Wallace has stunned John Mugabi, who looks in all sorts of trouble. Wallace trying to finish his man off. Wow, what a shock. Just as Mugabi looks set to gain control with a couple of big rights of his own, he seemed to momentarily just turn his head, and Wallace landed with a right that really stunned him, followed up with a series of blows. And Mugabi really having to hold on here in the 4th round. Well, you've got to take your hat off to Jamie Wallace. A courageous performer between the ropes. Mugabi still in Disneyland. But Wallace really unable to bring up the punch that he needs. Needs to try and set it up a little bit more rather than winging in as he is. But there he goes again with the right hand. Not as much power on that punch. Mugabi comes back with a nice combination of his own. And there's the bell ending at the 4th round, and what a round for Jamie Wallace. A big 10-8 round to the South Australian fighter. Here we go for round 5 of this Australian super middleweight title fight between Jamie Wallace in the blue trunks and John the Beast Mugabi in the white trunks. Mugabi, well, it was an incredible shock. He was knocked down in the last round, which brought Wallace right back into this contest. He had been struggling through the first 3 rounds, particularly with that counter right that we've just seen again there by Mugabi, that has really got the attention of Jamie Wallace. But Wallace must be content in the fact that he knows that he can hurt Mugabi. Oh, and another big right hand there by Mugabi. That was a jolting punch. So after an indiscretion in the last round where he found himself on the canvas, Mugabi once again here in the 5th round finding a home for his right hand. Wallace's people urging him to be first. Mugabi there with a left hook and a telegraphed right hand. Another big left hook there by Mugabi. That had a lot of weight behind it, crashing into the temple of his opponent. And this is not what Jamie Wallace wants. He doesn't want to get into a slugfest with John Mugabi. Another lead right. Wallace needs to try and keep this fight at a distance. Wallace's people feel that Mugabi is gone, that he's tiring. I'm not exactly sure what Wallace was thinking there, leading with an uppercut. I mean, he's just going to sign his own death warrant there. Mugabi had been on the ball a little bit more, and there we go. There's that left hook again. Wallace needs to get back to the basics. He needs to throw that jab. And that was his problem in the last round. He didn't set up. After he knocked down Mugabi, he just didn't set up at all for the follow-up. And he looks like he's got quite a bad cut there over his right eye, Jamie Wallace. And there's the bell ending round number 5, and I'd give that round to Mugabi. A good comeback round by him.
Round 6.
Well, after 5 rounds, I've got John the Beast Mugabi ahead 48-46. Jamie Wallace helped greatly by that knockdown in the 4th round. Mugabi coming out then again. He's so short with that left hook. That's where he gets all the power from, Mugabi. He really snaps with it. Doesn't loop it, doesn't telegraph it. It's just short and sharp, and that's the key. Twisting through the hip, and there he goes again. You can see him when he throws that right, the way he twists at the hip. That's where he gets all his power from. Great punching technique, and it really is something that can be taught, but it's also a lot of natural ability. It's something Mugabi would have had right from the time that he first put on a pair of gloves. And it looks like the referee's called for timeout. Have a look at the cut over Wallace's eye, and I think the crowd would be very disappointed if it was to stop the fight at this stage, and the doctor allowing the fight to continue. Here we are in the 6th round of this challenge for the vacant Australian super middleweight title between Jamie the Wild Man Wallace and John the Beast Mugabi. Mugabi, originally from Uganda, now calls Australia home, lives in Cleveland in Brisbane. Has been fighting here has been living in Australia for quite some time now. Oh, and a nice right there. Wallace needs to snap more. See the way he just throws that left. It's very tentative, and he leaves it out there. That is basically an open invitation for Mugabi to counter. Wallace there was sort of a half jab, half hook. He's looking very tentative here in the 6th round, Jamie Wallace. You can't really blame him. He has swallowed quite a few right hands as well as left hooks from Mugabi. And Ambrose Melillo obviously thought that as the fight went on, John Mugabi, because he is getting on in age, he's 38, 39, we're not exactly sure how old he is, that he'd tire, but he discovered the hard way that no matter what round it is, John Mugabi still has that power. Double left hook there by Mugabi. The first one landed flush, the second one not so. Lead right hand there by Mugabi. Once again over that lazy jab by Wallace. Another one in the bag there for Mugabi. That's the end of round number 6. This is the Australian super middleweight title fight between Jamie Wallace and John Mugabi. Mugabi, a former world champion, won the WBC super welterweight title, and a lovely, lovely uppercut there by Mugabi. Really did snap back the head of Wallace, who was starting to take quite a bit of punishment in this fight. He had his moments in the 4th. He actually knocked down John Mugabi in the 4th round. Mugabi looked in all sorts of trouble, but the Beast has come back. The rumour is that his next fight will be in the States. His promoter and manager Mark Erickson looking to set up another shot at a world title for John Mugabi. He's been a real ring warrior. A man from Uganda who now calls Australia home. His last world title fight, he was blown out in one round by terrible Terry Norris. It was back in the early 90s. Norris has since gone on to become one of the all-time greats of that division. Unfortunately, recently, the IBF, for reasons known only to them, decided to strip him of their title, their version of the title. But he still holds that WBC title, the one that Mugabi once owned himself. With Thomas Hearns still fighting, perhaps we might see the Beast up against Tommy the Hitman Hearns. What a great fight that would be. Doing a pirouette almost there, the Beast. But, Wallace not able to counter. I think Jamie Wallace is quite intimidated by the punching power. And once again there, even the hand speed of Mugabi far superior to that of Wallace. He was jolted once again there by a left hook. Right rip into the body there by Mugabi as Wallace comes lunging in, and Mugabi can obviously sense when he's going to do this because he's able to counter him so well, and he's done it throughout this fight. And throughout the last fight that we had of Mugabi's, which was against another African fighter, Ambrose Malillo, his countering abilities are amazing. Sign of a well-schooled fighter. Mugabi really cruising to an easy victory, but we are still only at the end of round number 7, but another round there to John Mugabi.
Round number 8.
Both men opening up here at the beginning of the 8th round. Really, Jamie Wallace is not going to outslug John Mugabi. What he really needs to do is to try and box him. Set up the jab. He's got the height and he's got the reach to do it. But whether he has the boxing skills, that is the question. Mugabi, even at this age, really still a class above the young South Australian boxer Jamie Wallace, who has loads and loads of courage. And the referee once again calling timeout for the doctor to have another look at the eye of Jamie Wallace. Quite a bad cut over the right eye, but once again just wipes away the blood and allows it to continue. And Mugabi punctuates the restart with a nice right hand. Another counter right there by Mugabi. Wallace is punching really ineffective, both on the outside where he's throwing few punches, and on the inside it's very sloppy. The crispness in Mugabi's punches, and we see a combination there to the body, and I think that hurt Wallace. One of them went a little bit south of the border. The damage was done with that first combination. Both men holding here in the 8th round. A fight worthy of an Australian title fight. courage versus class, I would say. Tell you what, watching it on TV takes you one step back from what it's actually like being ringside and watching John Mugabi punch. You can really see the power that he has in his fists. And Mugabi looking a little bit tired here in the 8th. He's thrown a lot of leather in the last couple of rounds. And he's come back well from that knockdown in the 4th round. Couple of unanswered right hands there by Mugabi, who just stares across the ring at Wallace thinking, what do I have to do to knock this guy down?
Round number 9.
Well, we've got 4 rounds to go in this fight, and just once again I'd like to thank our sponsors, Waters and Gamble and Associates, investment bankers, especially Michael Toohey and Baxter Gamble, Melba's nightclub on the Gold Coast, the Watermark Hotel, and Town and Country Real Estate Agencies. The principal there is Matt Robinson. Thank you to you all, and also to Terry Page, who's Australia's leading bookmaker. Thank you very much for your support of the pugilistic art, and let's hope that it continues. In association with Sky Channel and Optus Vision, you're watching Fight Night, and the main bout which you're watching at this very moment is for the vacant Australian super middleweight title between John the Beast Mugabi. He came into this contest with 40 wins, 39 of those by KO, and Jamie Wildman Wallace. He's had 27 fights for 13 wins. Not quite in the same league as far as record or skill as the Beast, but he's still there. And here we are in round number 9. And he's also scored a knockdown to boot. Not a lot of action so far here in the 9th. Mugabi well and truly ahead. Apart from the 4th, I have him winning every round 10-9. Wallace has a lot of work ahead of him there. We see again Mugabi's ability to counter, even at his age. He still has that speed, and he still has that amazing skill and that incredible power. Just waiting constantly to pounce with that counter. There he goes again. Wallace out with the jab. Mugabi gets a 2-punch combination off. Again, once again there with the right. Bit of a glancing blow, not a lot on it. It's what he did to Hagler too, because Marvin Hagler, one of the greatest counter punchers of all time, and throughout most of that contest, Mugabi was able to mix it with him and counter just as well as Hagler. And that 6th round, I don't know how many of you would have seen that fight, but if you haven't and you have the opportunity, do yourselves a favour. That is a marvellous, marvellous fight. Mugabi, of course, eventually succumbing to the power and the strength of Hagler in the 11th round. But he made the boxing community the world over stand up and take note of him. It was a year after Hagler had destroyed Thomas Hearns in the battle known as simply the fight, which turned into a Holocaust. And of course, a year after the Mugabi fight, he fought Sugar Ray Leonard to that controversial loss. There's the bell-ending round number 9. Well, Jamie Wallace's corner urging him to throw punches in bunches, and that's what he needs to do. I mean, just sticking that jab out, as we've seen, Mugabi's just waiting for that to counter it, and he's been able to counter it almost every time. He needs to throw out that jab and come straight over with the right, and there you go again. You see, he's just not throwing it with any confidence at all. He's better off not even throwing it if he's going to do that. Wallace is going to eat punches the whole night. Through 9 rounds, I have Mugabi ahead 88-82. We're now into the championship territory. You get the feeling that it will go the distance, but I think at this stage there can only be one winner, and that's John Mugabi. But as they say in boxing, you're only ever 10 seconds away from disaster. As Mugabi nearly found out in the 4th round. And there you go again with that counter. Wallace's corner giving him some confusing instructions. They're telling him to push him back. Well, to push him back, he really needs to have him at a distance, I believe, in the first place. There again. Just nothing on Wallace's punches at all. I think he realises that he's just outclassed at this stage. And you've got to wonder whether he really does necessarily have to take this sort of punishment, because believe you me, these punches have a lot on them. And Jamie Wallace has been, in the past, he's taken a lot of punishment. Really, Mugabi almost landing at will now. But the Beast, who's seen 39 of 40 victories, succumb to his power. Well, Wallace is still there, and he's taken as much punishment as I've ever seen any of Mugabi's opponents take. He just doesn't have the skills to match it with the Ugandan fighter. Mugabi going to the body there with the left hook, and then with the right hand to the body. Wallace really nothing more than a punching bag at this stage, and there's a big right hand that snaps back his head. Fighting on memory alone, I would imagine. Jamie Wallace probably got too much courage for his own good. And there's the bell ending the 10th round. Yet another round for the Beast, John Mugabi. Well, we're now in the home straight of this Australian super middleweight title fight for the vacant crown. John Mugabi well and truly on top. He's wearing the white trunks. Jamie Wallace in the blue. And apart from a few moments in the 4th round where he actually knocked down John Mugabi, Wallace really hasn't been in this fight at all. The counter-punching skills of Mugabi just more than Jamie Wallace can handle. There's a lunging left hook, but I think that one was blocked by Wallace. Wallace with a flurry here, and one of the few times John Mugabi forced to hold on was probably a lapse in concentration that brought about the knockdown in the 4th round. Referee giving Mugabi a warning there for getting his opponent in a headlock. Wallace again attentive with that left, and there he swallows a left hook in reply, sweeping across his face, contorting his face. And look at that right hand. Well, that's just found a home for itself on the side of Wallace's face all night, and I'm sure that tomorrow morning Jamie Wallace will feel the effects of this punching machine known as John the Beast Mugabi. Referee taking a point away. I'm not exactly sure why he did that. There had been few warnings in this fight. It's been a fairly clean fight, although it's been a mauling, brawling affair at times. It's been the counter-punching of the Beast that has been the difference. But once again, you can't praise him enough. Jamie Wallace is one courageous character, and there the Beast getting a warning for headbutt. I don't think it was intentional. I think both men's heads came together there. And Wallace's corner continue to scream instructions to him, but they've had no effect on him throughout the fight. He's fought basically the same from round number 1. Not a great deal of imagination in his boxing. And there we have the end of round 11, so just the one round to go in this Australian super middleweight title fight. And Jamie Wallace's corner giving him the old 1-2, obviously instructing him what he wants, but he hasn't done it through the first 11 rounds. I don't think it's going to make any difference in this round. And that's not what he wants to do. Stand and go toe-to-toe with Mugabi. It's ridiculous. It's totally the wrong instruction. He's taken an absolute pounding for most of this fight. He's not going to outslug Mugabi on the inside. Crowd trying to get behind Wallace, but I think it's a lost cause personally. I think if nothing more, he's gained Mugabi's respect. He's swallowed some of the beast's best throughout this contest, and not even so much as a flinch or a knockdown. Perhaps 1 or 2 times we've seen him back up a little bit, mainly from body shots. And obviously both men very tired here in the 12th round. Mugabi's dished out the punishment. Wallace has been on the receiving end of quite a bit. Mugabi missing one of the few times with a counter left, but he doesn't miss with the right, although he landed it on going backwards, so it wouldn't have had as much effect on Wallace as it would have been had he been coming forward. Nice left hook there. I think that caught the attention of the South Aussie. Nice sneaky right hand by Jamie Wallace. It's really going to take a miracle punch like we saw in the 4th round for Wallace to have any chance now. Minutes tick down in this contest. Interesting to see how the judges score it. I can't see them scoring it any other way other than in Mugabi's favour, but more bizarre things have happened between the ropes. So John Mugabi almost certain to be crowned the new Australian super middleweight champ. Another right by Mugabi. Wallace very, very tired, just lunging in there, almost face first. But he's going to see out the 12 rounds, and not once has he been on his feet. So a good fight, not a great fight. Mugabi dominating the contest. And I would say that he's a very comfortable winner, but we'll have to wait and see how the judges score it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is the official decision. We have a unanimous points decision. Alan Moore awards 117 to 110. Brad Vocali 116 to 112. Derek Milham 116 to 112 to the new Australian super middleweight champion from the red corner, John the Beast Mugabi.
Well, how about the punch that dropped Mugabi? Wallace had him in real trouble, but the Ugandan was able to hold on and rallied well over the rest of the fight to score a good win. While you're in the mood for a seesawing battle, the next is an absolute beauty.